So we're on the horse and we have this ACL injury or surgery. Here are the steps you can take to help minimize the discomfort that can develop in the joint. We want to start at the foot. Now the foot has a tendency to turn out and become rigid. So we want to minimize the amount of rigidity in the foot. And to do that, we have to start by measuring the leathers to make sure that the leathers are the same length. So from their attachment to the base, right to left side, they need to be the same. If they are more than 1 centimeter difference, you need to punch a hole in order to fix that. Second thing we need to do is to make a firm base of support for the foot. And we do that by placing the stirrup underneath the balls of all 5 toes, or I prefer a little more of what they call a cavalry foot, which is a little more home foot, which is slightly behind the balls of all 5 toes, which means the outside branch needs to be back, not forward. When we go forward, we lose the support the stirrup is providing for the foot. Once we have our base of support established, we need to make sure we engage the calf muscle, and we do that by maintaining a level sole. We don't want this, we want to have a level sole. This engages the calf, helps stabilize the first part of the chain, which is from the knee down to the foot. The knee is the victim of what happens at the foot and at the hip. To help minimize the effects at the knee from the hip, we need to think about the knee block. Now, this is a thin knee block. What happens though, if you have too thick a knee block, people tend to take and roll their knee in on it, which makes them want to roll their foot out to put more calf on the horse. And we don't want this situation. We want to be able to open the hip to let the leg reach down and make contact with the stirrup. Once we have the knee off the knee block so that we have a knee over foot, we now want to go to the hip joint. And the hip joint has to move. But in this case, the hip joint is tied to the motion of the lower back. I want you to go ahead and I want you to slouch for me. Okay? What we want to do is start to teach how to move the hip joint. So I want you to sit up tall and now slouch, and now tall and now slouch. And you can see how that hip joint starts to move. The muscles at the hip help control what happens at the torso, but they also help control what happens at the knee. And we have to start to train that function, and that is best done with your off-horse strengthening program. So in summary, how we address an ACL injury is to teach the hip how to move with the horse, best done with an off-horse strengthening program. We get the knee off the knee block to keep it in line with the hip, and in turn, the knee now lines up over the foot, and at the foot, we take the stirrup, put it under the ball of the toes or slightly back in a little more cavalry home position so that the rider can now step down into the stirrup, not off the stirrup.